Hi, this is your 2019 yearly horoscopes with me, Lada, from astrolada.com. Thank you for choosing me to be your guide for the year 2019. I feel very flattered. And I just want, before we start, and this is the intro for all 12 signs, but it's important for you to watch it. And before I start for each sign, I want to invite you to join me in a little prayer, no matter who you believe in and what you believe in, just to focus our energy and to benefit the most through this reading. Dear Mother, Father, Universe, God, exalted angels, guardians of every human, those that are helping the evolution of humanity and of every individual person. Please bless everyone who watches those videos and the whole world in 2019. Let those videos and the information that is given here be useful to everyone so everyone can use it to the most constructive possible ways, to the highest vibration of the planets. And even if there are challenging periods and moments in our life in 2019, let this video and this information give us not only clarity but a meaning and understanding of those more painful experiences that are in front of us, so we realize that life is not an adversary to battle with and conquer, that life is our benevolent good partner that is trying to lead us to discover our true authenticity. It is trying to lead us to a place of happiness, to a place of truthfulness. So let this year 2019 and the information we receive here, let us use it to the highest good for everyone involved, and let us be able to utilize the planetary energies to help ourselves, to uplift ourselves and those around us. Amen. So I want for you to benefit the most. Thank you so much for joining me, by the way, in the prayer. So for you to benefit the most from this, I want you to take a pen and paper and write down 3 things. And some of you would be just listening your sun sign. Others would be just listening to your moon sign. Others bought all the 12 videos, so you'll be able to be watching your ascendant, sun, and moon. But I always advise you, watch your ascendant sign, because if you go to a professional astrologer, they would look at your ascendant and how the planets are in correspondence, where they're moving from that ascendant. And nowadays, more and more astrologers are using the ancient time of astrology, which is whole sign house system. So these videos are perfect. The whole sign house system is what when first astrologers created it, the system they were using it. So without the house cusps and anything. So the ascendant is the point of incarnation of the physical body. So it is of the soul into the physical body. It is the physical bodies. That's why it shows the most tangible things that are happening to us. That's why I always advise, check the prognosis for your ascendant sign. The moon sign is our inner world, how we feel, our self-consciousness. So the moon usually manifests the second most powerful after the ascendant sign, because we especially strongly identify with how we feel about something, and something that impacts us emotionally. And even though, for example, from the ascendant, some big event might be happening, like changing of place of living, but from the moon, it's shown that, for example, uh, you will be having a quarrel with a friend. For you, this will be a way bigger deal, because emotionally this feels much stronger for you, this quarrel with a friend, for example, than the relocation that's happening. But from the ascendant, it shows the specific things that are happening in your life in a tangible way, because the ascendant is the material body and what is happening to us on our path in that material body. And the sun sign is what most of the people only check, and but that's pop astrology. But still, the sun sign is very important. The sun sign is our willpower, our goals. It's our ability to channel divine intelligence. And the sun sign will show us, looking at the prognosis from the sun sign, will show us especially the things that we are striving towards to achieve consciously. And the prognosis for the sun sign would tend to have more free will over that prediction, what you're going to read, because the sun is connected to free will, while the moon symbolizes the past. These are things that often happen. The prediction from the moon are encoded from the past, while from the ascendant sign, it's sealed in stone, so to speak, So yes, checking the sun sign is very important, especially because you can direct the events there more with your free will. The moon sign, you feel like it's more fated and it affects your feelings the most in your personal life. And the ascendant sign is the most tangible event. So I would advise start with the ascendant sign and progress. And for you to know, though, a lot of people don't know. The sun sign is the one that everyone speaks about. Like, oh, what are you? I'm an Aries. It means I'm born from March the 20th to April 20th, something like that. But and I can give you predictions for, oh, if you're born from March 1st to March 5th, this and this will be happening for you. But every year they change. The sun moves into a different sign a day before or after, and I want to be way more precise for you. So instead of giving you days, we're gonna find the degrees of your sun, the degrees of your moon, and the degrees of your ascendant signs. And for some of you, the moon and the ascendant might be the same, or the sun and the moon. Rarely, but it happens. So for you to find this out, I want you to, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me just. Here it is. Share. So I hope you see it. Go to my birth website, astrolada.com. You see it here. And go to the birth chart and transits. Or if you have any other astrology calculator, I don't mind as long as it gives you the information that I'm going to show. So here I'm going to put a fictitious person, let's say whatever name. Write your name. So you're born in August the 6th, 1972, for example, at 8 a.m. or make sure that if you're born later, you check if it's 8 p.m., 20, And it's important for your correct ascendant and for the degree, in particular for the ascendant and the direct degree of the moon, the correct sign and degree of the moon, for you to know your minute of birth. If you don't know it within 15, 20 minutes, the degree of the ascendant might be 3 or 4 degrees off, but the moon degree would usually be correct. But say you're born 8/17, and say you're born in the USA, and you're born in New York, and you have the drop-down menu. Which New York are you born in? Well, there are many New Yorks, say New York Hospital, whatever. And continue, press continue. And then you're gonna get this chart, and I want you to scroll down, you see, not here, but here inside. And you're gonna see this, which shows planetary details. And I want you to, there is abbreviation of ascendant, sun, and moon. This is the only work you have to do. After that, just listen and enjoy and wait to hear your degrees. I mean, I'll be speaking generally about each sign, but especially when I mention the degree of the sign that you have. This is when things are going to, you're going to feel them so intensely. So this person, for example, has ascendant, which means your rising sign is the same. Ascendant, rising means the same. The physical body, it is at 20 degrees Aquarius. I want you to write just the first degree. The second one is not so important. This is 28 minutes. This is very minimal. So 20 degrees, write down on a piece of paper, Aquarius 20 degrees. You have to watch the video for Aquarius. And every time I mention Aquarians born, say, from 17 to 21 degrees, and you're 20, they'll experience this in particular this year. And you should be like, okay, this is very specific for you. It's gonna manifest. You're gonna feel it. Then write down your sun sign. This person, for example, has sun at 14 degrees Leo. And the moon sign. The moon sign for this person is at 16 degrees Cancer. So if you've bought, for example, if your sun is in Leo, make sure that you know the degree for your sun. So in this case, this is the sign. The sun is the sign everyone knows. I'm a Leo, I'm a Virgo, So, but make sure you check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your ascendant or moon, whichever one you're waiting. And then, so for example, if you have the all 15 videos, this person has to check the video for Aquarius, Leo, and Cancer. So I hope it's not too complicated. It's actually quite simple. You can watch the video a few times to understand what it means. But now know the degree. Write it down, have it on a piece of paper, and whatever you're listening to, if it's your moon sign that you're listening, knowing the degree, when you hear your moon degree, you're like, ting, that's specific for me. For the ascendant sign, overall, the whole prediction is very correct. While for the sun and moon sign, again, you would feel it maybe to a lesser degree, but especially when I mention your sun or moon degree, this is going to, it's happening. Whatever I talk about, it's happening. You feel it strongly. It's going to be so important for you that year. So, with that introduction, thank you so much. And we're going to start with the signs one by one. Virgo 2019, whether it's your ascendant, sun, or moon, I hope you already have your list with the degree of your ascendant, sun, or moon, so you can listen especially carefully when I mention your exact degree of the sun, moon, or ascendant and what I say about it, because it's going to be extremely relevant. But the overall reading is for everyone. So let's start with Jupiter. Wherever Jupiter moves, this is, and it's going to be in the same sign till December 2019 in Sagittarius. So wherever it moves, it starts manifesting there. It starts helping in that area of life. It starts, the difficult conditions improve, and there is expansion and growth. And for you, for 2019, Jupiter will be transiting Virgos in your fourth house. And it's going to be in its own sign as well. It is in its own sign, which means it's going to manifest much more powerfully than other years. So the fourth house, let's write here Jupiter in fourth. What can you expect for that? What will grow? What will be a source of help and support and positive development in your life? Well, the fourth house is home and family. So, your family, for example, can be much more helpful and supportive to you. Maybe your mom can help in some way, or maybe your family, if there was some problem with family members. For example, if your mom was ill or unhealthy, she can improve now, or she can be released from some difficult situation in life. Or if there was a difficult relationship with a mother or a parental figure, you can improve that relationship, or with other members of the family. If there was difficult conditions in your family of some sort, expect that things are starting to take a forward, upward turn. If there was some blockages in regards to you acquiring or selling a property of some sort, now things will resolve easily and positively in your favor. For example, you can make a profit on some kind of land or vehicle that you sell, because fourth house also rules vehicles. Any the not the travels itself, but the transport, the device, the vehicle itself, whether it's a bike, a boat, or a car, or a tank, whatever you're using, you can, for example, have a successful sale or acquirement of a new vehicle, maybe a better one, more reliable, more enjoyable rides as well. And for example, you can also, if there was any problems or fights with family, this can be resolved for right now, or at least to some extent. Also, if you can expand your home, you can decide to build another room, or to broaden the your garden, and to build fences. Something with your home goes well, the universe helps you. By the end of 2019, you'll have a very positive result. Often this is a time a person can relocate to a place that feels much more like home, a place where one feels happy, a place when one feels one belongs and there is meaning there, because Jupiter is a planet of joy and purpose and meaning. So if you've been looking for your place under the sun, now Jupiter in the fourth house can grant you with the right place, with the best place that is for you. Of course, might not be exactly what you imagine, but Jupiter always brings the best that is possible and helps. And even I am listening to this and paying attention a lot to this prognosis, because my relocated ascendant, which is good to look at, is Virgo as well. So hopefully, I hope this Virgo in the fourth house will find us a nice place. So this can be a good place to acquire property, a good time to acquire property, to expand your family as well. For some people, it's good, like they can be an opportunity to settle down, to put some roots where they feel happy, as I said. It can be also an opportunity to start a family. Often, Jupiter transiting in the fourth house, if you're in the right age and circumstances are aligned, there can be expansion of the family. Maybe like sometimes even a child or parenthood. And Jupiter, the fourth house, the house of taking care and parenting and guarding and nurturing. So such roles will feel much more fulfilling now. Even though you hear Saturn is in your fifth house, so there is heavy responsibilities with children because fifth house rules children, but you're getting much more meaning and joyfulness from the parenthood experience, and things will line up more easy for your family this year, for the whole family overall. So good time if you want to expand the house, sell a house, buy a house, property, buy land, cars, or if you're a farmer, there's going to be a very good fruits and results, and the land will be very fruitful and give a lot this year. Or if you're a fisherman, there'll be a big catch for you this year, because fourth house rules the fruits of the earth, the fruits of the sea. Or if you're a marine biologist, someone who works with the oceans, the waters in some way, or with shipping, they can be a very beneficial, fruitful year of some sort. And that gives results of more wealth and abundance, because Jupiter rules wealth and abundance. If you are someone who works in caretaking. For example, you might be home care nurse, you might be taking care of the vulnerable, like little children, or daycare or something, or the old and vulnerable as well, because they also need taking care of. You can expand your business this year, or your foundation and your base. You can have more clients. You can grow the business in some sort. It can be, if you want to start such business, it can be very beneficial as well. Fourth house in ancient Vedic astrology is considered the house of receiving licenses and diplomas uh, that give you access to basically to be accepted, to have the accepted foundation, kind of integrate into the local society, and to live an established life. So uh, you might receive some license of some sort, you can receive some diploma of some sort. That's another good thing, whether it's driving license or whether it's license to practice something. Uh, and also, if you are in a business of real estate, wow, this year can be very beneficial for you. This year can bring more wealth and abundance as well. You can get some much higher scale properties that you can sell. You know, and if you're, what other professions of the fourth house? If you're in policing or guarding of any sort, again, Jupiter can bring uh, good result from your career, good acceptance. If there was any problems in regards to getting citizenship somewhere, because fourth house is again to get those documents or those credentials that make you a legal citizen of a place. Jupiter transiting the fourth house will move things forward in a positive way for you to receive those credentials, or those legitimization to be a proper member of certain society, proper member of uh, where you're living. All right. So a lot of good things can come, and this is a pivotal house, because the fourth house, the house of happiness and emotional peace. On a more spiritual level, when Jupiter transits there, it helps resolve some emotional tension. It helps resolve some psychosomatic conditions as well, and it helps resolve some inner tensions. Makes you feel happier at home, makes you feel like you're receiving support emotionally, makes you get in touch with your emotional needs and what it is, and honor them, because Jupiter is, you become benevolent, beneficent, and you get understanding what your needs are, and you start finding the opportunities, and the universe brings those opportunities to fulfill your essential emotional needs of any sort. So usually a person becomes more peaceful, more content, and as I said, all those private matters of personal life, of family, really improve. Good, we like that. And what else can be said? For Jupiter, also from the fourth house, is sending its trine aspect, which is 100 degree positive aspect to your eighth house and to your 12th house. So not only the fourth house will benefit. So you can expect expansion in eighth house matters, so some improvement or some help as well. And eighth house matters is resources that are yours and your partners. So maybe your partner can contribute more to the mutual resources, whether personal or business partner, marriage partner. Or maybe they can be some positive solution in easy resolution of a situation and receiving of some sort, a situation including that is regarding insurances, inheritances, taxes. It's good time to do uh, taxes. It's good time to do and you can receive some more beneficial outcome if you rearrange them some way. It's good time to ask for help from another financial model or even a loan, and you can receive it as well. It's a good time also if you're expecting some payment to come to you from another person, or if your money depends to a great extent on other, whether it's like you invested money somewhere in a mutual fund with others, you can receive some dividends now or growth of those invested money. If you have some uh, hidden money as well, they can grow. Hidden sources of income can appear because the eighth house is something hidden. uh, and if you have money that is depends on clients, for example, that, or that if you work in partnerships with other people, so a part of your income or the whole of it depends on those partnerships, it can start paying off, or you can start seeing good results this year because of this eighth house being well aspected. And the 12th house is sending, Jupiter is sending a trine to the 12th house for you as well. So you can expect easier access to foreign travel, easier access to uh, foreign relocation as well, easier access to, as I said, even legitimization of documents about it in a foreign place. You can expect, if there was some blockage there, for you to be able to do it, or if you had some business that is connected to 12 house matters, which is um, hotels, sanctuary retreats, hospitals, if you work in a hospital, in prison, in laboratories. Jupiter will help those areas, will help give you more growth or expansion and more satisfaction and joy, improve the environment of such more isolated environments, areas, and you can have more access to pleasant experiences in holidays and faraway countries. You can have more access to um, retreats, and remember, the influence from the ascendant is always the most important one. After that is usually the moon, and thirdly the sun. But Jupiter aspecting at least one of those three, if it's Virgo, and if for example you're Aquarius and Saturn is blocking access to foreign countries, but you're Virgo, if you're Aquarius sun, but Virgo ascendant, or Virgo moon, it will be, even if there is one of the other predictions that you listen to says that, oh, there will be blockage to one of those four areas, so delays or difficulties. If in one of the other signs Jupiter is helping one of those three houses, it's going to make things easier to some extent. So yes, there will be access to more spiritual experiences as well for you, more deep understanding. If it's good time for deep research, because both the 8th and the 12th house, the house of isolation, using the imagination, your imagination will kind of especially when you're using it in private, in more isolated ways, behind scenes, say if you're uh, I don't know, working in a studio or something. This can help you for this isolation and the fruits that are achieved through that. And spiritual work of any sort, again, this is the 12th house, and any kind of research that you're doing, deep research, whether it's scientific, whether it's spiritual, whether it's on any other educational matters, this is a very good time. And all those houses are a bit occult. They're moksha houses, they're liberation houses. When Jupiter affects them, it gives us some liberation. It might be usually from some emotional burden, liberation from some restricting psychological condition, liberation of some trauma from the past, because these are the houses where we store memories from past lifetimes, from early childhood. from early family, and either subconscious or conscious, and Jupiter helps to loosen the, let's say, the to loosen the hardened and the feelings and the hardened, more painful situation that encrusted on your subconscious or on your astral body. So it loosens, it warms up the astral body, because the 8th, 12th, and 4th house rule the astral body, which is connected to feelings, where we store feelings. So you can release some pain, you can release some trauma, and do some internal psychological healing. Jupiter also gives you access to private consultation, maybe through some private means like an astrologer or an occultist, or self-exploration as well of the hidden secrets of your subconscious, and access to past lifetimes memories, access to sudden healing. 8th house, when it's affected by Jupiter, can bring sudden healings as well on the psychological level, um, and sudden changes. And you have access to uh, maybe some kind of psychiatric or psychological treatment of some sort, that you can consult someone and do this releasing. It can happen spontaneously, just like a natural internal emotional release and healing. So good things, it's a bit more hidden things. It's your private life, it's your feelings, it's researching the occult and mysteries and secrets um, of the world, the visible, the invisible world. But you'd get more wisdom and deeper understanding, from which will come more peace of mind, which is the 4th house, from which will come you feeling more more stable foundation in your life. All right, so it's a good transit to have. Then we have Saturn. Now, wherever Saturn is, we know it's a little bit difficult. And Saturn has been already 1 year in your 5th house, but in 2019 it's going to be with Ketu in your 5th house. And let's talk a little bit about that. A lot of you have started feeling it already from 2019, but from in 2018, a lot of you Virgos had those experiences, but some of you, but this year will be a bit more different, because we have another planet there, so it will change things a little bit. But let's see what Saturn in the 5th house does. This is a difficult placement, because the 5th house is the house of joy, is the house of having fun, and Saturn blocks that. And Saturn uh, does it because usually of some heavy responsibility. Saturn is the planet of responsibility or work. So because of some other restrictions, usually outer one, that denies you access to having more fun, to letting your hair down. In my case, because my ascendant is Virgo, the real case, that it's been 5th house rules children, so it can indicate very heavy responsibilities with children. And in particular for Virgos, when Saturn transits their 5th house, it's actually one of the signs that accepts that transit the best. For other signs, it can be very painful when Saturn transits the 5th house, because it cuts you off from the joy of life, it cuts you off from love affairs, it cuts you off from joyful, in a sense. The Jupiter in the 4th house gives you inner peace, but the excitement of life is the 5th house. So those kind of enjoyable experiences, the ability to shine, to take center stage positions, you might feel that your aura is a little bit more like, because the 5th house is the heart chakra, and it generates like this golden aura around everyone. It kind of, when Saturn transits the 5th house from the ascendant or the moon, or to a lesser degree the sun, it tends to kind of dim a little bit the bright, golden, happy, shining aura of the person. Um, and it also tends to close a little bit the heart chakra of the person. That's why there tends to be some more painful experiences in dating, in romance, in love. They can be blocked, or they can be delayed, or they can be more painful, or they can be just more dry and unsatisfying. It's like something feels like those romantic experiences ruled by the 5th house, something is lacking, it's not enough. I can give you an example. I know a few Virgos that 2018 they had a romance appeared, and it appeared with someone older. Saturn in its own sign manifests, but it will manifest romantic experiences in your life, but usually of Saturnian nature. Someone older, someone maybe there is age difference of some sort, either older, younger, but usually 7 years or more, might be less, but some age difference, or someone, it can manifest some romantic experience. This is what happened for the few Virgos I knew. Someone older, someone the other one was with someone very corporate, who had a lot of corporate work and was keeping him away from the love relationships, draining from the joy of that relationship because of responsibilities that the romantic partner had Saturn, and he had to be away a lot, or he could not dedicate as much time, and that actually ended up making the relationship unsatisfying for that person, and the relationship ended. But if you want to stay in a relationship, and it will manifest romantic dates, it will manifest romantic partners, but they will have this a bit of a drier influence on them. Either they work too much, or you work too much and you can't enjoy as much the romantic side. Or if you're already in a relationship, because of responsibilities, if you have children, usually have responsibilities around children. The romantic side of the relationship and having fun with your partner is restricted for this period. And for 2019, this continues, of course. And or if you have, or because you're working very hard, you don't have time to have fun and party, or you don't even feel like it. You might feel like, Saturn is like, oh, it's a waste of time to party, I have to do other things. So it kind of restricts this joy. Or if you want to keep, we're talking a romantic relationship, um, it usually happens that you need to be okay with more regulated dates, with more restricted access to the romantic flow, and to be okay that for another year and a half, while Saturn is in your fifth house, there will be less of that ability to romantically revel, enjoy yourself. But from 2020, Jupiter enters your fifth house, so it's going to improve things. But somehow Virgos are more better with this than others. There is some restriction to your romantic life and to be with the loved ones you want, because of responsibilities. But because Saturn is in its own sign, Capricorn, you already have such expectations, Virgo, throughout your life, and you're okay with that. You're okay with more regulated romantic love as well. But unfortunately, when Saturn transits there, it can bring some disappointments in regards to your love life, but it also gives you a reality check. So uh, I know Virgos are not known as the most romantic people. They're much more practical in their approach to relationships. That's why when Saturn transits, in regards to romance as well, when Saturn transits their fifth house, they don't freak out like other people do, like people who don't have Virgo in their horoscope, because they already have this more practical approach to relationships, their responsibilities, and I'm okay, when their responsibilities, they already have kind of, let's say Capricorn is to lower your emotional expectations in something, but Virgos always have more higher social expectations about their partnerships, about their romantic partners, because Capricorn is about, they have more rules about what the partner should be like. They have like a checklist, which is what Saturn is. It has rules and regulations. It's a bit dry, but this is part of the nature of Virgo very often. So when Saturn is transiting its own sign in the fifth house, it kind of increases those rules you might have towards a partner and makes you even more clear and set on what it is you don't want in a romantic relationships, what it is that is not working. Saturn shows you what's not working right. So it shows you, and usually it can do it through sometimes through painful experiences, like being with someone who shows you what is not right in a romantic relationship, and that gets you kind of disappointed, and it can cut off a relationship if it's not the right one, or it can get you to put more stronger rules on yourself, and in regards to the things you don't want in a partner. And there might be the pressure that you put in your romantic relationships, that you don't want this, or this is not right for you. But again, Saturn in its own sign tends to give, by the end of the transit, by 2020, like almost like very streamlined approach cuts off all the unnecessary appendages and behaviors in regards to your romantic love life and in regards to what you find important in romantic love life. And despite of it depriving you a little bit of the joys and funs, even if it's not romantically talking, you might be in your 60s and 70s and not care about those things. It's about having fun generally, uh, but it's a necessary process, and in its own sign, finally Saturn will still manifest. So yes, romantic relationships can happen, but they can be slower going than you expect. They can have more obstacles, or they can be manifested through Saturnian partner that you find because he fulfills some checklist of partner who is very busy or corporate or more mature or more senior of some sort, or there might be some blockages to the expression of love because of other considerations. But if you're patient and persevere and you're lawful in your behaviors with romantic partnerships, actually Saturn can really uh, strengthen a romantic partnership. It's not going to make it more exciting for now, unfortunately. From 2020, your romantic love life gets more exciting, easy, starts flowing. Now, Saturn slows down everything. And when it transits the fifth house, it slows down the fulfillment of that fifth house, which is, your romantic life. That kind of frame freezes it so you can have more time to look at what it is you're doing wrong in your romantic life. What are the behaviors that are the reason for problems in your romantic life, or the reason that you give more love than you receive, or the reason that you receive more love than you give, and whether it doesn't mean your marriage will end or anything, but there will be some big um, self-assessment and analysis on those things, because you start thinking much more seriously about this topic of romance and love and giving and receiving love, and what it is that brings you uh, um, that makes you happy in romantic relationships. But Ketu is also transiting the fifth house. So Ketu will require some sacrifice. Ketu will require in 2019 that you release some unnecessary romantic relationship, or that you release some expectations about your romantic relationships, and that you even somehow become a bit detached, because Ketu is witness. It's a witnessing perspective, and Ketu on the highest level gives an ability to see through illusions and to see through them. And you can feel like in 2019 that you kind of have like a you see through some of the illusions about dating and love and romance, and you see through all the hype about it, through the illusions of all the hype that it is, and you kind of acquire a more detached, whatever attitude, whatever comes. And that's the right attitude for you to have in 2019 when it comes to romance, whether you're already married, whether you're already in a relationship, that it is that, whatever it is, let go and let God and let go, let go and let God. Do your responsibilities. It's part of the deal, whether it's with heavy responsibilities with children or no. But you find it harder to regulate things. Saturn wants to regulate the affairs of the fifth house, romance and things like that. But with Ketu, it's harder to do it. And you'll have to let go of certain uh, expectations or beliefs. You have to, uh, let's say, ease it off a little bit. And the fifth house also rules your children. So for example, they can be your children. You might feel like you're trying to discipline your children better, because Saturn makes you more serious about wanting to discipline, to put more structure, to regulate your children better. But Ketu kind of also dissolves that. So it's kind of their counterintuitive. They're different energies. Saturn wants to put structures and regulate and give rules to your children, for example, while Ketu says, things are out of your hands. You can't control everything. Ketu is us realizing we can't control everything. So on one hand, yes, you'll be trying to impose rules on children. Yes, they might be going through some difficulties that you're trying to help them with. On another hand, you have to accept this detached state of mind that you'll do what is required from you, Saturn. You'll do your duty. You'll try to impose rules and whatever, but The result is not in your hands. So you have to, and the result can be very different than what you expect, and very surprising and uneven. Uh, and Ketu will have to, and the same for your relationships. Um, that you can try to, impose rules and regulations and be more careful, but at the end of the day, it's not in your hands. And you have to accept, both for children and for matters of loved ones and for romantic matters, that things are a little bit out of your hand, that you still have to fulfill your duties there, you still have to be straightforward, to keep those rules, but at the same time, you can't control everything. I hope it's not confusing, but they're very kind of, you know, uh, such influences. And both have an influence of either distancing or letting go of something. So this might be that you're letting go of certain, for some people it might be trying to learn to let go of their children, to give them more freedom, or children having to go somewhere, live somewhere. For others it might be having to learn to let go of a romantic partner and not, try to control everything there, but still know what they don't want and still fulfill their obligations to a romantic partner. um, for others, it can mean, fifth house is also creative projects. It can mean that you have very heavy responsibilities with managing some creative project. We're trying to regulate it, we're trying to streamline it, because Saturn tries to do this, to put order, organization. And at the same time, things will still kind of be a little bit out of your control with the South Node, and a little bit not according to expectations. So you have to learn to adapt to that, to whatever this creative project is like, because there is those hidden forces, which is what Ketu is. That, well, Saturn really wants things clear results. Well, Ketu says, yes, you have to work hard on such responsibilities, but the results, you have to leave them in God's hands. And you have to learn to be detached in regards to the results, because it's unclear what there will be. But still, at the end of this transit, Saturn still manifests. So by 2020 or something, you can end up with a very well structured creative process, a project of some sort, whether it's a website you're building, whether it's a business you're building, then it's something that you're creating, with your own imagination. And it can feel like it's a slow going such a project now. Saturn delays everything, and it's that it has more obstacles and more bureaucratic blockages to this creative process. Maybe some institutions can be kind of blocking your creative, the ability to move forward with a creative project, or bureaucratic rules and regulations of some sort. So again, accept this attitude of a witness. It's like watching a movie. Ketu is the most spiritual planet, so you have to accept the most spiritual, detached attitude. Just watch it projected in front of you, and know this shall pass too, and watch it with kind of detachment and curiosity, detached curiosity. What am I to learn from this? Uh, so yes, it's interesting there. What else is the fifth house? We said creative projects, children, loved ones, romantic partners. Also, it can indicate some working through karmic issues and releasing them, because Ketu is past lifetimes or the past, and Saturn is mistakes and pain that we carry. So there will be Ketu, and Ketu is a moksha planet, which means liberation. So it can liberate you literally or figuratively from a romantic relationship or creative project, or a child, that has finished its karma in your life. That is, it's no longer necessary in your life. So Ketu can liberate you, basically remove it from your life, and you can even become more detached in regards to that. Saturn and Ketu will help you get a detachment in regards to those matters in your life. And at the same time, one will dissolve those and remove certain aspects, whether from relationship with child, a lover, or attitude towards love or creative project. And at the same time, Saturn will manifest and streamline and make you just keep the basic and the most necessary things in regards to those matters. And so there will be also release of some karmic pain, I would say, connected to past love. So if your heart was hurt, if your heart was broken, Saturn is the pain we carry and is the fifth house of love. And Ketu comes and joins 3 times in 2019 the Saturn. So there is a good news as well that you see through the illusion of that pain. You kind of distance yourself as an observer and you release liberation, moksha, remember Ketu, release that pain and that thing that hurt your ego, that clipped your wings, that clipped your self-confidence. The fifth house rules all of those things. And a person can have a less self-confidence when Saturn transits the fifth house. It is typical, and especially Ketu transiting there as well. It weakens even more the self-confidence. But at the same time, Saturn is making sure that you're removing all the um, uh, unstable, untruthful, unnecessary and weak foundations on which your self-confidence is built and your self-ego is built and self-expression. You might feel like you have your self-expression clipped a little bit, like your wings are clipped. Like instead of being able to spread your wings like a butterfly and be like, yeah, but you might feel like you're, because of responsibilities, duties, or because of limited resources of some sort, you can't fully express your full creative potential in some sort. But Saturn is still helping you guys because it's making a trine aspect to many of you, especially those of you who are have your ascendant sun or moon from 13 till 21 degrees in Virgo, because Saturn is making a trine to those degrees, which means that if, for example, if your sun is in those degrees, if you're doing something in regards to your career, yes, it will entail more responsibilities and duties, but Saturn, they will come more, you'd be able to incorporate those duties and responsibilities with more naturally without so much stress. Again, it can drain a little bit of your ability to have fun and enjoy yourself in this year, but it will guarantee that whatever you're doing with your goals and career has long lasting effects in a positive way, that is very stabilized. So if you get a job now, or if you do a project, yes, it will require more efforts, can take a bit longer, but the results will be very productive, very stabilizing. The results will give long lasting results. And so if you get a job, it might be a very long lasting one and create more seniority and authority in your life. If it's your moon in Virgo in those degrees, Saturn trining it, yes, it can give more responsibilities of some sort with family and personal matters, a bit drying of the emotional side, but it stabilizes your feelings and it will stay. Or it can be a good time building a house, for example, if your moon is there those degrees, so doing some repairs around your home, or being able to put more rules and more regimented and ordered home life and personal life, and some order in your feelings. And maybe some woman or female or your mom can stabilize her life, or she can do something that brings more stability, so more practical support for you, support that is on a more material level, so to speak, as well. And if it's your ascendant in those degrees, Virgos, it means that you're stabilizing more, and everything that I spoke about Saturn in the fifth house is valid for you. But it means that you can stabilize your weight, for example, and that will be in line with the, not being Saturn blocking the ability to enjoy life a bit, especially if you're trying to, because the first house, the ascendant, is physical body. Or even with the moon and the sun, it can help you, have more control over your weight, for example. And because Saturn restricts a little bit the ability to enjoy life, but it restricts it, but in a sense you're okay with that. You're okay to deprive yourself. Whatever Saturn transits, we feel like I'm okay to deprive myself from certain joys now because there are other more important things, and those joys can be, those this can also help you with the physical body, and also incorporating some kind of a more strength or more endurance in the physical body when Saturn is making trines to those to Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. And the Ascendant is also your whole path in life, so you can become more stable. Again, something that you start. The Ascendant indicates new beginnings. It can have a long-lasting influence, and it can be a creative project that you're starting, something that you're putting your creativity, your own intelligence. It's going to take longer. It's going to require a lot of efforts because this is what Saturn is. Whether it's your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, Saturn transiting the fifth house, you can start a creative project, but kind of have more detached expectations because of Ketu. Be willing to release things that are not working out with that project. Be willing to be flexible, or be willing to, and you can start even a more kind of spiritual project of some sort, or turn some creative hobby or something you're passionate about into work. Saturn means work, into responsibility. It might drive out the pleasure from something that you've loved. When you start turning into a business while Saturn is in your fifth house, it might drive out the pleasure of this thing, but it's a necessary thing. And it can be something connected to spiritual, or something connected to, which is Ketu also means there, or something connected to, I can't think of anything else now. But if you have those degrees, specifically talking now, Saturn stabilizes something in your life. Saturn makes you be consistent, to follow through, to complete things, yes, it slows things down, brings more responsibility, but you are okay with that. And at the same time, while Ketu is in your fifth house, Rahu will be in your 11th house. And now this will explain why Rahu and Ketu are always opposite. Because wherever Rahu is, this is where we get passionate. This area of our life is where we get excited and passionate about the most. And the whole 2019 Rahu is in your 11th house. Well, 11th house is attainment of goals, long-term goals, and dreams and wishes. So you had a vision, you had a dream that you want to have your own business, for example, or you had a dream that you want to have a PhD, or you have a goal years ago that you want to, have you have an idea how what you want to achieve with your personal efforts. It's not something out of your touch, like the feelings of another person, out of your reach. It's something that you can control yourself. The 11th house, these are your own goals, and especially goals that are for material profit, and goals that are for social validation, goals that will give material results and outcomes, whether it's some status or privileges, or whether it's a prize or reward, or higher salary or profitability. And the 11th house is known as one of the houses of business. When Rahu going there, and achievements, basically, we become very ambitious, much more achievement oriented, goal oriented. The 11th house rules goals and wishes, as I said, and Rahu intensifies, increases those desires in you. And maybe that's why you're feeling like, I don't have time for having fun. I'm letting go of trying to create fun activities. So I don't have time to focus on romantic dates. So I don't have, done enough of the love thing. Like, I want to focus on fulfilling my goals. I want to focus on socio-economic achievements. I want to focus on having influence on larger groups of people, the 11th house as well, and being accepted. 11th house Rahu transit can start craving to be accepted into some group, or elite, prestigious, because Rahu craves elite and prestigious things, because Rahu craves to be one of the gods. So you want to, and you will have an access to a higher social class or social network of people, or to a larger groups of people, and you will receive some privileges by becoming a member of some group or organization, or some layer of society that you strive to be part of. It might be the layer of society of homeowners, or the layer of society of business owners, or something. But now you have the green light with this Ketu, with this Rahu in the 11th house. Go after, because you feel the hunger there. Rahu is hungry all the time. Ketu is all kind of like, well, I've had enough. Like, I've tried everything, so I give up. And to be honest, sometimes exactly when we resign, because Ketu is resignation and apathy, and that's your love life, and that's your your expectations of fun, your expectations of what your lover should do, your expectations of what your husband or your expectations of what your children should do. When you let go of those, but you still fulfill your responsibilities, you can't just neglect that because Saturn is in your fifth house. Saturn will not let you neglect your creative projects, will not let you neglect your responsibilities to children and lovers. But if you kind of resign yourself with what the situation is, this is usually when you can actually open a door for things like the law of attraction knows says to start coming to you, because you remove this resistance. But your passion and your strongest attracting point, because you have hunger for it and excitement, is this 11th house. So you're gonna gain your friends, and often when Rahu transits the 11th house, people can gain very different friends than other times, friends from very different social circles, ethnicity, religion, foreigners. They can be foreign friends, but your social circle will expand. And usually they're more ambitious people, more eccentric and unusual people. Rahu has those, and more materially manifesting people. So what you'll notice is that actually can, by the end of 2019 and even towards 2020, because Rahu stays there also in part of 2020, at that time you'll become more gainful. You can, for example, start a business, and you can or you can increase your salary, you can increase your social circle, you're going to increase your social influence if you're an influencer of any sort, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook or Instagram. And the 11th house is your fan base, your followers. So you're going to increase that following. You're going to increase, and you're going to be passionate about expanding profits through that and expanding your popularity, and you're going to make it. And that's not going to leave you much time for fun, and for those romantic things. But they can still manifest because Saturn is in its own sign. It's a manifesting influence, so you can still manifest those things. They're just more. There you have to be more detached, and things are moving slower. What else is the 11th house? So increase of gains, profits, of ambitions. Wow, you become more ambitious. If you're a bit like a limp dead fish till now, and Rahu transiting through your 12th house in the previous 1.5 years might have given you passion and desire to escape and hide and go to faraway country, or just abandon responsibilities, because that's what the 12th house is. Now Rahu transiting your 11th house is the best house for Rahu to transit. Yes, it can take away a bit of the glamour of life and the spark and the fashions and the creativity and the fifth house, but it's gonna make you more profitable. It's gonna make you more kind of ambitious in your achievements, and to fulfill them and to make them happen, of course. And so you're gonna feel like, okay, I'm ready to take it over, to take over the world, to become more influential. You're gonna have a bigger fan basement and following, if you're one of those people. Also, the fifth house is students, I forgot to say. So Saturn transit in the fifth house can give heavy responsibilities with students or with children, but Rahu in the 11th will bring extra profits and social popularity. All right, so we also have, whoops, not penis. You also have Uranus that's going to be helping some of you. And Uranus, not the black, the blue. Uranus, or as this is the astrological symbol, this year affects from 0 to 7 degrees Virgos, with a very beneficial trine aspect, 120 degrees, which is Uranus brings changes, big changes, very new energy. But this is active only for those degrees. But Uranus, when it's a trine, does it in a way that does not disturb your life, that does not make you, that does not make you have to leave so many things behind in order to incorporate this new thing. Uranus makes it in a gentle, exciting, positive way. So if you happen to have ascendant sun or moon from 0 to 7 degrees, and actually especially from 2 to 7 degrees, because 0 to 2 degrees Uranus started trining the Sun, Moon, or Ascendant already from 2018, from the spring, and it ends now in April. So those new changes have started already from 0 to 2 degrees, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in Virgo. There is a few more that are coming, but they're positive and they're easy and they're exciting. But from 2 to 7 degrees, it starts for you from April 2018, 19 till April 2020. And Uranus is basically what it can bring. For example, if it's your sun in those degrees, it can bring new opportunities in your career by and they're positive, they're easy, in regards to fulfilling your goals as well, because the sun rules, though, in regards to suddenly making happy, suddenly aligning things for you in your career, and it's sudden, and it brings new exciting opportunities. It can also mean that you can improve your business by upgrading and updating technologically, because Uranus rules social media, it rules international, it's very global, it's very technologically savvy, it's very in tune and in line with the social current trends. So you can align your career with the pulse of society, which is what Uranus rules, with the trends in society, and because of that, it can be going really well. And those new opportunities, and also it can give you a possibility, if you're those degrees, to start in a new company to work, or to start some work project. Especially projects that are connected to Uranus will go fantastic if you're those degrees, which is to do with um, uh, higher knowledge of some sort, which is to do with astrology, which is to do with alternative knowledge, if it's to do with science, if it's to do with technologies, if it's to do with social media, if it's to do with I think, yeah, all of those things, it will go very well. And if it's to do with some kind of social movement, with some kind of a large scale um, communal social projects as well, it goes very well. New ideas are coming to you. It can also, if it's your son, introduce a new male figure in your life, exciting new different male figure. It's not someone familiar, or if you're already in a relationship, say if it's your husband, it can indicate that some new developments that are good and can be integrated positively into both of your lives are coming into the life of your father or husband or important male figure as well. Um, if you are a boss or a business owner and you're from those degrees, you can innovate your business in some way now with new ideas as well, reach out larger audience as well, make it more in line with the current trends as well. And all these opportunities will be good, will be in a positive way. If it's your moon, all those innovations and exciting things happen in your personal life, emotionally, or through an important woman in your life. Or if you're a woman, it's your moon, maybe they're exciting new things. Maybe you can even relocate. That's another confirmation, because Jupiter is in your fourth house, and if you have moon from those degrees, you can do something new in your home or with your family that goes really well. That is exciting. Move to a new place in some way, and it's supported, it's easy, it's not stressful. It is exciting though. Or do some renovations around the home. Uh, it can also mean that you feel more electric and excitable emotionally. You feel freer, and because the moon rules your feelings, you feel freer, um, more truthful, aligned to your emotional truth and your emotional needs as well. And if it's your ascendant, again, your whole life, it can indicate positive developments in regards to your whole life and direction in life, new exciting opportunities for the future, usually through some kind of travel or higher knowledge, because Uranus makes it from the ninth house towards your ascendant. Um, and yeah, let's see how this plays out. Write to me or come back to it and see you becoming more truthful, more authentic. If you have those degrees, you having more freedom. That somehow Uranus is bringing you more freedom without disrupting the rest of your life, and more uh, alignment, authentic alignment with your with with yourself. And if you're a Neptune now, is the next planet. Now I have to warn you. Neptune, if you have Neptune from around 14 to around 19 degrees, but particularly from 16 till 19. Because the 14 till the 16th degree, Neptune has been transiting there already over the past year and a half. So they felt it already. It's the end of it. But people from March onwards, the 16th degree till the 19th, and then Neptune comes back again and again, and then again and again. It's like 5 hits there, almost like, or maybe for over the next. It starts for you the spirit, and it will carry on over the next. Not even 16. It's 15 degrees. So yeah, I would say from 15 till 19 actually. So over the next 1 year, year and a half, you're gonna feel Neptune very strongly, and some of you already started. But those are degrees that have to be a bit more careful because Neptune is making an opposition to those degrees. It's a very strong aspect. It's a once in a lifetime transit. It continues for a year and a half, or sometimes two, and you can feel confused, and you can feel, if you're those degrees, that. And thankfully though, Saturn is also making trines, remember, because Saturn is making from 13 to 21 degrees the trine, and Saturn is stabilizing, Saturn is grounding, Saturn allows you to see the reality. But for those of you who have from 15 in particular to 19 degrees, oh, so a big portion of what Saturn is trining is being squared, and square is a difficult aspect. 90-degree aspect is being squared by Neptune. But I'm so grateful that Saturn is trining those degrees, all of them that are being squared by Neptune, because Neptune can make you get so lost in illusions, so confused and unclear about where you're going. And especially for Virgo, that can be quite traumatizing because Virgos like practical. They know, they want to know what's happening. They want to be useful. Neptune makes you, turns you into a Pisces a little bit, like turns you into a um, directionless, confused, more introverted. Where am I going? What am I doing? What is the purpose? It's kind of, and it can feel, sometimes it can put people into depressions or into emotional downs because of the lack of clarity or ambiguousness that Neptune symbolizes. And usually it can come from another person. So still, if you have from 15 till 19 degrees Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, they can be someone that is being ambivalent with you, or you might be being ambivalent with someone, or about the relationships, not clear what you want there, or something is dissolving, or something can bring you some disappointment. But very quickly Saturn straightens this out and makes you see the reality, because it's helping with its helpful aspect, 13 degrees. So it's not a square. Sorry, Neptune is making an opposition. I just saw that opposition is 180 degrees, which means exactly opposite. So here it's a little bit complicated. So something, both Saturn and Neptune will manifest. Saturn will help, so Neptune brings us some illusion or confusion or lack of clarity. If it's your sun, it might be about the direction in career with a male figure, with an important male figure. Husband, father, might be sometimes even loss of such a figure. But Saturn can help you keep still the status quo, and can help you try and find practical solutions and not lose your head too much. And because if you have just Neptune, you can't find a lie. If you're being misled by someone, whether if it's your moon, it might be a woman, or if you might be confused about where you want to live, or something that's happening in the family, or about your feelings. You might have feelings for someone that is not available. Or Neptune means yearnings and craving for something that it's kind of illusionary and it's not realistic. And if it was just Neptune, yes, very dreamy spiritual transit that you get in touch with your, you start calling for God because you're confused, and you can get in touch with your spirituality. You can get more creative and imaginative. If you have careers that are creative and imaginative, that is a very good transit. If you're in cinema, in making computer animation games, if you are in some kind of anything to do with imagination, Neptune can expand this imagination, or music or arts, if you're in the medical field as well. And thankfully Saturn is also sending a trine, so it can for such careers it will be stabilizing actually. But if you're in, um, and as I said, and thankfully because of the good aspect from Saturn, you're not going to be fully fooled by someone. You might start thinking that they're, you might suspect something, but you quickly somehow, down to earth and practical considerations, and you see through the illusion. So that's good, because both, if it was just Neptune, I was just gonna tell you, don't trust your intuition, don't trust much. You'd kind of project what you want, you'd yearn for things you can't have, and usually they are unrealistic, and it turns out, like, I had women get married on Neptune transit to a man, and it turns out to be gay, or man Neptune opposite his moon, he falls in love with a married woman, or a man, Neptune opposite his moon, or his son started a career that he realized, left one career because they promised him a great thing in another place. In turn, he went there, turned out it was not at all what it is. So you tend to have unrealistic expectations, so you're even misled by someone when Neptune is around. But thankfully, some kind of Saturn is allowing something productive to come out of that. You're not going to be fully left uh, confused or misled. So your practical considerations help you. And plus, who will help you in the situation, especially if someone is promising you something, or you're projecting some expectations on some partnerships, a contract or agreement with someone, which is your opposition with Neptune. Uh, there will be something unclear or something not fully how it is. You have to read the small print. You have to, Saturn helps you. A experienced authority figure on something, ask them what they think. It might be, an older person as well, or some kind of more sober personality in your life who can give you a bit of a reality check there, so to speak, and can help you avoid uh, full dissolution or full disappointment, disillusionment with that, and being misled with that situation. But again, as I said, if you're in any spiritual field of career, in healing, medical field, they can be change of career, but something can come that is it implants itself in a longer for a longer time because of the trine from Saturn. But still, there is danger from those kind of misleading influences. And then lastly, those who are from 20 degrees till 23 degrees in Virgo, Pluto is making a trine to those degrees. Ooh, fantastic. So they're having it very good this year, and for the next, I would say another year after that, Pluto will do 2019, 2020. Pluto will basically help you and give you the willpower, the focus, the ambition, the intensity. If it's your son, for example, to achieve some amazing goals that you haven't been achieving before, some male figure can appear in your life who is plutonic, who is intense or scorpionic in nature, or who has power, or who has a lot of uh, magnetism, who has even a lot of wealth in some sort, or very deep occult knowledges, or very penetrating knowledge that helps you in some way, whether for your career, or whether for your or whether in your personal life, someone like that, a male figure, can appear. And the sun is also your own personal career and your own personal, or if you have a sick father, for example, Pluto trine the sun can indicate Pluto is death, is rebirth, so convalescence and improvement of a male figure, or a husband or a father figure if they are not well, or empowerment of a male figure, of a husband, father figure, or empowerment of your own career and of your own goals, and being able to achieve things that you did not have the capacity to achieve before. Pluto is like a atomic powerhouse that is working for you in this case to achieve your goals, to achieve the vision of your kingdom. Um, and if it's your moon at those degrees, it can be that you emotionally become very penetrating, that you emotionally are start feeling empowered, you take your power back. A woman can help in some way, or support from family and mom, or it can be very good for your family, or even starting a family of some sort, or motherhood, becoming a mother. Or, and I forgot to say that Saturn in the fifth house can kind of give blockages in regards to having children. But in the case of Virgo, because Saturn is in its own sign, it can manifest a child, especially if the woman is older. So if you're a woman in your 30s already, Saturn transiting your fifth house till some part of 2020, you can manifest a child. Um, this is very rare that Saturn in the fifth house does it, only for Virgo, and for another sign, when it transits the fifth house, it can do. But to older women. All right. So, or to women that are in, it indicates some situation of a bit of lack of resources or more responsibilities, but still it can manifest a child. But if you have Pluto, if you have your moon at those degrees, 20 to 23 degrees, it definitely can manifest a child, a family, or some positive transformation in the private personal life with property, with place of living. Go for those things, they are good. And any plutonic careers can really take off, which is connected to drilling, to mining, to psychology, to the occult, to astrology, to research, to deep occult studies. Things like that go great. And if it's your ascendant, those degrees, everything plutonic can appear in your life to give very good results. For example, it can give very good results in regards to um, well, I said it, to the occult, to secret, to self empowerment, to taking the control back in the power, to feeling more stronger and ready to take on the world. So very strengthening and very helpful to help you achieve long-term goals and dreams of any sorts, and to help you. The sun is also our dreams. The sun is what we want to, or the sun or the ascendant. It kind of aligns you and things start happening for you, and powerful people or figures can be helping you. All right, I think we passed through all the planets. Now let's quickly see um, the Mercury retrogrades, because they're very important for you. Mercury is retrograde because it rules you in March, most of March, in July, most of July, and in November. And in March, it's retrograde in your seventh house. It can be especially from 15 to 13 degrees. Sorry, from 15 to 30 degrees. So the last 15 degrees, you will feel this the most. So, some very pivotal time for your relationships. From someone from the past can get in touch for you to resolve it or let it go. Some communications can be more complicated. They can be some delays in regards to agreements, in regards to signing contracts, or some you have to bring some extra documents or some extra negotiations are necessary in March, or it can be some very intense negotiations in business or relationship environment, something from the past. Some painful topic can be brought to be discussed with the partner for the terms of agreement in your relationships to be kind of maybe to be redesigned, so to speak, and for some new uh, how do I say, rules to have to appear, because Mercury rules the rules of the game. So the rules of the game in your relationship, personal, business, will be reworked. Some will be released. Some relationships that cannot achieve balanced reworking of the rules will be discontinued, like business partnership or something, or friendship of some sort, or some personal relationships might be, if there was a long-standing problem between you and a partner. Mercury in retrograde in your seventh house will, especially 15 to 30 degrees, will bring it very clearly and vividly to the surface. It cannot be buried anymore, it cannot be hidden. But eventually, if it's something to do with business, and if it's the relationship is renegotiable, it will you have much more clearer and much more better working relationship after that, or contract or agreement of some sort. Then Mercury is retrograde in Cancer most of the time. In Cancer is for you Virgos in your 11th house. That's in your July. Some friends from the past can come back. You can be working very hard on details of achieving some long-term goals and dreams, together with this, with the North Node is there. Wow, it's retrograde. So maybe some very important business developments that you're doing to achieve some goal, some profit, that you have to work extra hard in July, that you have to re-agree on something, that you have to put finishing details or redo a few times. Again, this is the crunch time of the work that you have to go over. And then in November, it's in Scorpio. And Scorpio is, for you Virgos, your third house. Third. Oops. So that's again, it's a social house. November, someone from the past, and even in October, you can feel it already. Someone in the past might get in touch with you. Some very important for business, for documents, for, again, you might have to work extra hard on certain documents, on certain communications, on something to do with marketing or advertising, on media, on arranging some commodities, on some business transactions that might have gone a bit more complicated, and you have to put the extra efforts to fix them, to use a lot more skills, communicative and information, to sort something out. You might be reworking some written or spoken projects, some business plans, some reports, some documents, something spoken or written of any sort, revising some skills and having to use a lot of your communicative skills in some. It's very busy. Those times when Mercury this year 3 times in your communicative and business houses, and houses of achieving uh, goals, the 11th house, you're gonna get busy with getting in touch with a lot of people from the past, or making contacts, and negotiations and agreements of some sort, and communications of any sorts. But for business, usually it means that you're working, yes, it gets more intense. You have to have a plan B, plan C, with partnerships and contracts, with the goals that you're working on, and plans for gains and profit, and access to more, to larger network, with business and commercial uh, communications and transactions of any sort, marketing, advertising. You need to have plan B and C, but usually by the end of this transit, so usually the month after, you come out with much stronger results. Yes, you had to rework something, it didn't come exactly as you expected, but it comes out better if you put the efforts during the retrograde planet, because it gives 3 times stronger results. So, and one last thing, what are some of the other busiest months for you? When Mars goes in one of the mutable signs, this is when the busiest time of the year happens for you guys. And of course, Mars enters in Gemini, and is going to be there April till mid-May. Mars in your 10th house. Very busy for career, very active for career, the whole April till mid-May. You move ahead, you forge forward with career, with social reputation, socially visible activities. It really gets you moving. But at the same time, you can have some butt heading and some power struggles, or some kind of fight with an authority figure, father figure, boss figure, institutions of some sort. So be careful about that. But you can get a lot of things done, and you can be extremely productive in regards to your work during that period. And then after that, Mars enters in your sign, guys. Sorry, not in your, yes, it's in your sign after that. From August 18th, and stays there till basically uh, October. October the 4th, but basically stays there August and September. September, Mars in your first house, new beginnings. Powerful new beginnings, guys. You get very active. These are the most stressful but most active and productive times of the year, because Mars, you know, things can press our buttons, but Mars always wants to improve things. Mars is a Brahmachari planet. Brahmachari means someone who always wants to make things better, because something annoys it, irritates it, so it wants to, uh, kind of improve it in some way. So, and work diligently and hard. And Mars will give you courage in this period, August till September to move forward with goals, to be more initiative. Fantastic time for that, since also the sun will be there. There'll be a huge stellium actually in Virgo that is happening starting from the last 10 days in August. So Venus will be there, the sun will be there, Mercury will be there from the start of September. So this kind of the last 10 days of August and uh, first 10 days of September. Wow, it's powerful new beginnings in your life, guys. If you want to start something big, new, do it around that time. It is, you'll feel like a powerhouse of new ideas, of action, of things moving and shifting in an important way. And after that, does Mars enter Sagittarius? No. So these are the most active periods in your year. Go for them, but be careful because you also feel a bit like explosive, like a volcano. You'll be willing to fight more. You'll be willing, and you might need that. If you're gonna fight for something, this is the times when it's gonna become most intense. But it's like you're gonna have a lot of confidence, a lot of drive, a lot of impetus in those periods to move forward. But again, these are volatile periods when you can overreact, when aggression can, especially if you have already some anger problems, you can find yourself that you're more snapping at others or others are snapping at you. So be careful for accidents around those times or actions that you take too rashly that can stress you out, but you can get a lot done during this period. Anyway, thank you so much, Virgo. Interesting year, you know. There is a lot of support from the planets, from Uranus to some of you, from Neptune, no, from Saturn to some of you, from Pluto to some of you. And there is challenging influence from Neptune. But again, it can turn out good for some of you in regards to especially those of more spiritual, creative nature, artistic nature. And the frustrating part is the Saturn in the South Node in the fifth house, but it's for a reason there. So anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you next year, or maybe sooner.